Oh, Kate, where do we begin?
I feel like we haven't done this in so long.
I know it's been 3 weeks.
I'm kind of rusty.
Are you?
Feel a little bit rusty.
A little bit rusty behind the mic, huh?
I do. It's all good, right? Get out of your comfort zone a little.
It's been 3 weeks since our last show, and here I am talking with our friend Tana in the chat room about UFC fights. I was telling her before the show that last night I stayed up late watching some of her husband's fights.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Nice. What years?
I don't know. They were late 90s, early 2000s, something like that.
Oh, wow. He's amazing. I've watched a couple with you as well. And
oh, my gosh.
Whew, it was fun to actually meet them and hang out. And
don't want to meet him in a dark alley.
No, you don't. Not at midnight or any other time.
That's right. So I want to thank everyone for joining us. It's been a long time since we've had our latest Free For All Friday show. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We do our shows every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time. If you guys want to join the chat room and make some friends. We've got a lot of people in there right now, so we appreciate that. And this is what episode number is this?
Oh my gosh, 389.
Is it 389? Let's take a look. We're going to keep good show notes. That's one of the things we like to do here. And no, this will be 388, right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Amy Schuber was 387.
I have her as 388 over here. Are you sure?
Oh, yeah, because we were going to go on our trip vacation that didn't happen, and we had some scheduling issues, but
I see. My bad. 388.
388. What do you think of Amy? She was a fun guest, huh?
Oh my gosh. Amy could be here every week. I would never get sick of her.
She's great.
Yeah, for those who haven't checked her out, it's a great show with Amy Schuber if you want to be really encouraged and inspired to live a more full life.
Yeah, she's doing a podcast, inspiredconversations.net. I like that name.
Me too.
Inspired Conversations.
Inspired Conversations with Amy Schuber.
Yeah, and she's done about 300 shows. Or no, not 300, 100 shows.
Yeah,
right?
She just had her 100 mark, and she was obviously very excited about that. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
When you reach 100 in something like this, it's 100 times you've shown up to talk to people. I mean, it's just wild.
It's great. Yeah, Amy Schuber, that was a good show. She came in studio for that. We talked about almost for 2 hours about health and mindset and success and personal development and all kinds of really cool stuff like that. So that was a lot of fun. She sees people. I was going to say patients, but she sees people. She's a life coach, and she's really. You know what I love about Amy is that she's very honest, and we're talking about this after the show. Is that you know how sometimes you can meet some people in a particular position in life, like let's say they're a medical doctor, or let's say they're, I don't know, something of authority of some kind, and you hang out with them and it becomes like let's say it's a psychologist and you hang out with them, but then when you hang out with them, they psychoanalyze you when you're hanging out with them. You know, it's just not just like you're
hanging out.
Yeah, you're not just having fun. And Amy's really, really cool like that. She's got no ego, and she's doesn't psychoanalyze you. She's not
trying to coach you.
Yeah,
I mean, she's trying to encourage you, but she's not trying to be your coach if that's not what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and
like
she's
you're not in a meeting with her.
I liked her too because she showed her vulnerabilities. And she's just a great person. 387.
387.
Amy Schuber. And then we had
Dr. a long one.
David Steenblock.
Yes.
In studio as well.
Yes, he was fun.
Yeah.
We've gotten some really good feedback on that one on Instagram. I forget, one of our listeners wrote in and said that was like her favorite show of all time.
Really?
Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Wow.
Clicked on the photo that we had posted of him and said, this was like my favorite show. This doctor knows so much, and went on and on about how great he was. And
yeah, that was an interesting show, The Real Cause of ALS. And so he went into the biological instances of ALS and what happens in the body. And usually he says it's the cause of a couple different combinations of things, which is like a candida and yeast overgrowth infection, along with some sort of traumatic either brain injury or an issue in the neck that causes this biological transmutation of cells and organisms to grow, and then they fester and sort of affect the neurology of the body, which causes ALS and Alzheimer's and neurological brain disorders, all kinds of stuff.
What in the world?
Yeah, he went through the whole process of how it actually happens. It's amazing.
We know people, unfortunately, suffering from those diseases, like a lot of people do, and I don't know. You want to send it to everyone and have them give them a shot, especially people local right here by us who are very close to Dr. Steenblock. But
yeah,
it's just, I think there's just a lot of unbelievers, unfortunately. There's a lot of believers and people who are having their eyes open, but I do think that a lot of times family who have been down this path with the sufferer are thinking, oh, it's too much suffering, it's too late. They've gone past a certain stage. And I'm thinking, gosh, the way Dr. Steenblock explains things, it's like, if you can treat an underlying issue, I mean, it's never too late to help reverse or treat anything, really.
I know. It's amazing.
There's a lot of hope. He spreads a lot of hope.
Yeah. He's on that website Quack Watch. Have you heard about that?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
I have to think some government agency has set up Quack Watch. I wonder who owns that website, but it's like that Snopes website. Have you heard about that?
Yeah.
Have you seen that article that says we should put these links down?
Quack Watch.
Snopes got snoped.
No, you know what? I think I saw that. What was that though?
It was an article that someone did about the people who do Snopes, because everyone refers to Snopes as if Snopes is like the world's leading authority hub of debunking,
any sort of
yeah,
I don't know what you call that.
What do you call those? Like
conspiracy or
not? Conspiracy, but like myths that people say throughout society,
like urban legends.
Urban legends. That's right.
There you go.
And so there's an article called "Snopes Got Snoped," and it shows sort of what the two people are. Apparently, it's a husband and wife team who have no background in research or no background in any sort of
For real?
Yeah.
No way. Is it still going? The majority of people probably don't know that information, right?
Well, I don't even know if that's true. That's something that I saw online and I read, but who knows what's actually true when you see these things online. I think it's interesting that people, speaking of, I shared on our Instagram before we're coming on the show that we're going to be talking about. I think I did in the video about a lot of these naturopathic doctors that have been showing up dead.
Oh my gosh.
And just yesterday, we got news that on Tuesday of this week, a former guest of ours and amazing guy, I'm drawing a blank on his name, Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez, passed away.
I'm still reeling from that one. He was such a kind man and
I know, right?
Really helpful to me, even off the radio, off the air. That was a really big wake up on that one. Very shocking. Yeah,
and there's 2 more MDs. If you go over to Health Nut News, this is a website I look at every now and then. There's another MD found in Florida on his home. Did you get this? This makes 6 in 30 days, 5 still missing. So there's a total of 8 found dead. And so there's an email that came through I got it from, where did I get it from? It was
about Dr. Gonzalez? Or?
Yeah, about Dr. Gonzalez.
From Ty Bollinger.
Yeah, that came from, it was Natural Health. Let's see. But basically, I can't find the email now, but the idea of the Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez that came through from Natural Health email that I got, they were calling into question whether or not there was any foul play involved because of all these
with Dr. Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But I don't know. I mean, how do you? That seems like very like a lot of these other naturopathic doctors that Aaron over at Health Nut News talks about are people that are found dead, or they have they've been shot or something like that. But, a heart attack's a little bit harder to
prove,
to fake, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they're saying with Dr. Gonzalez.
Was he the only one out of all those doctors that they claim had a heart attack?
That I don't know. Here, I'll read us a couple of sentences here.
Yeah, this is just bizarre.
As some of you know, it has brought me no joy to be the one to break all the stories on each doctor found within the span of about a month, starting with the beloved Dr. Bradstreet. He was the first and was found dead on June 19th in a river with a gunshot wound to his chest. They did find a gun in the river nearby. He was from Florida, and many experts are questioning how he died. Then there was Dr. Heddanel, who was found dead in his car on Father's Day, the same day Dr. Holt was found dead. Both were found on the east coast of Florida, both chiropractors and both farmers, both found dead on Father's Day. Then we had Dr. Teresa Severs found murdered in her home here in Florida as well. And then osteopath Lisa Riley found with a gunshot wound to her head with a gun next to her in southern Georgia. Then shortly after, just days ago, was another East Coast Florida death as Dr. Ron Schwartz was found murdered in his home. I try to gently break all the stories and never intended this to be a series that I wrote, but it's been tough. But some leaders in the holistic community have encouraged me to continue to report as the truth must be known. Even if nothing else to remember from these great doctors during their great careers. I'm sorry to say that Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez, a well-loved holistic alternative medical doctor and author, has died suddenly. I was fortunate enough to meet this brilliant man, and my other half, also a doctor, who I think is Dr. Mercola.
Oh, interesting.
Had interviewed him several times. His clinic sent out an email to his patients yesterday that read in part, "The cause of death was cardiac related. It appears as he suddenly collapsed and was unable to be revived. Dr. Gonzalez was in excellent health otherwise, so his passing is quite unexpected. I am told he was alone at the time of his death and found by family. Our heart goes out to him and his family and friends, many of which are mutual to ours. In fact, some mutual friends wrote a beautiful write-up about this beautiful man here. I let them break the news gently as they knew him better, hence the reason I didn't break the story." So the article goes on, but yeah, very interesting. June 19th, June 21st, June 29th, July 3rd, July 10th, July 19th, and July 21st. July 21st, July 23rd, authorities announced that the body found is Dr. Jeffrey Whiteside. This is just yesterday.
Oh.
Who has been missing over 3 weeks. The article states, quote, "Office confirms the body found in Door County Wednesday is Dr. Jeffrey Whiteside, bringing an end to a nearly 4-week search for the physician." What's going on with all these physicians that are showing up dead? What's going on there?
Why on the East Coast?
Yeah, why mostly in Florida? Apparently there's a .22 caliber gun that was recovered at the scenes.
Oh my gosh.
And the body was there for some time, it says.
So this is definitely a weird pattern. It's not like just a couple random, even a couple, quote, random things start to look a little bizarre, don't they?
Yeah.
That is weird.
Yeah, very odd. And I think that...
I don't know what to make of that. You think there's something going on? That's pretty fishy.
I don't know. I think, you know what, I think it's really challenging for people to make sense of all this stuff going on in the news. It's really hard because, I don't know, I think that people are very easily distrusting of their government and the authorities, the perceived authorities, you know? Mm-hmm. And I think that it's easy for people, especially in the natural health world, to, get on the conspiracy sort of bandwagon.
Right.
But I think it's important to take a look at a lot of these things and determine for yourself whether or not something is a conspiracy or not, if there's foul play. Because recently, like right now, isn't there something called Jade Helm that's going on right here?
Yeah, apparently, right in our hood. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen one thing, but...
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Apparently Jade Helm, for those that don't know, is what? I think you know more about it than I do.
Yeah, apparently Operation Jade Helm is being, conducted in, is it like 8 states or 15 states? Mm-hmm. Something like that. I think it's 8 different states, including Mississippi, New Mexico, California. It's weird because in California, it's from San Diego County through LA County, so we're right smack dab in the middle of it. Yeah, Texas, Tana in the chat room, of course. Texas is, apparently people are seeing the most weird stuff, or reportedly on Instagram and other things, going crazy with postings of more sightings of Jade Helm and things like that. But we haven't seen anything. I kind of expected to see more, hoping I wouldn't, because I was, you kind of in your mind are preparing for the worst. Like, are we going to see Army guys jumping out of helicopters, while we're at the beach getting a tan,
Right.
But I haven't seen anything. It doesn't mean it's not going on. But I also read online that their drills or whatever they're doing apparently take place, from 11 at night to 5 in the morning. And they're looking for terrain very similar to probably what Middle Eastern, war terrain would be. So that's why they claim that there are certain areas of the United States and not others. But no one really knows what the operations are about, other than they're planning on trying different drills and things like that. But
how strange.
So I don't know. It's really easy to get yourself totally freaked out and all that. Luckily we haven't seen much, but like Tana said, Texas is apparently listed as a hostile state. That's what's concerning to me, is that they seem to be gathering kind of this broad information on whether states seem to be acquiescing to the rest of the nation or not,
Right.
like being a team. Are we all on the same team, or is Texas kind of doing their own thing and they're concerned about them? I don't know.
Yeah. They're always Texas. Texans are always the wild man in the back of class that won't stay quiet.
I love you don't want to mess with it.
I know, it's awesome.
Gotta have that.
Yeah, I think that I don't know. I think there's a lot going on with this kind of stuff, and I think it's important to keep a level head about it all and see and really look into it, because I tell you, if you start getting into things like Alex Jones and Mike Adams and these types of things.
Yeah.
We had Mike Adams on our show, and I love the guy. And I think that, that there's a level of protection that has to happen, I think, with all of us, because if Dr. William Wong, I heard him say once, he was a former guest on our show, great guy, lives in Texas, I think.
Does he? Yeah, he does. Dr. William Wong.
William Wong. He's an awesome guy.
He was good.
He does a lot of work with like sexual health and things like that. But
who doesn't like good sexual health?
Yeah, right.
But he's very busy.
Yeah. But he was saying that, he was kind of joking when he said this once, but he was saying, I've been preparing for the end of the world for 20 years, and it's, I'm getting kind of mad now. It's not happening.
Totally. Totally.
I think it's important to keep a level head, because guys like Alex Jones and Mike Adams, I love what they're doing, but it's important to not get caught in the fear trap.
Yeah.
Because essentially it's disempowering information.
Right.
Right. Which is no different than, just watching the regular news in that regard.
Almost worse, too. Because sometimes the regular news, you leave feeling like, oh, yeah, the world's going to hell in a handbasket, but we're all still here. But sometimes this conspiracy stuff or non-conspiracy, whatever it is, can get so deep and heavy. And you feel like you're just being like attacked like underneath at these creepy, weird, bizarre levels. It will almost ruin your life even more.
Yeah.
Like how CBiz says, careful letting fear rule and ruin your life. Like you got to be really careful about stuff like that.
I agree. And but what the thing with Jade Helm, it's so crazy. The thing I don't understand about conspiracy theories is, I love talking about that kind of stuff. I love looking into this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the thing I don't get about it is, if they can do something that they want to do, why haven't they done it already? Like, for example, with Jade Helm, or, I don't know, I'm personally convinced 9/11 was, there was, that whole thing was just a
big sham.
A big sham, yeah. Like, a lot of people don't even believe there were actual planes. But in any event, you have to say at the very least something fishy was going on, right? Mm-hmm. And they were willing to do that in order to go to war, right? If you take the conspiracy theory side. But if they want to depopulate the earth, if they want to do all these things, I just don't understand why they don't do it already. Right. Why wouldn't they just, why would they put fluoride in our water knowing that it would take 30 years for fluoride to actually kill people? Or, you know what I mean? Yeah. I just don't understand why. And
it's like, do they not have enough power? Do they not? That's pretty disempowering, which is great for us, to think they're not as in control as they think they are.
You mean they don't have enough power, or they do?
I'm sorry, that they don't. They must not have enough power. Like they think they do, but they don't. Otherwise, wouldn't they have done something by now?
Yeah, or maybe that's not as nefarious as people think it is.
Maybe it's not.
Because, they have nuclear weapons, and they have everything in their power to do whatever they want. Right. So why haven't they done stuff already?
Right, and that's true.
Why have Jade Helm here as a way to just sort of monitor what's going on, and why not just do whatever it is that they want to do? Yeah. Like people talk about these FEMA camps and, all these things under, these prison camps and things like that.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I just don't get. It's sort of the type of thing I've been thinking about this a lot lately. It's sort of like the pilot. Yeah. Who's flying a plane. He's got a family and he wants to live too. And I have to think that people that are part of the power elite would have to think, society actually is pretty good. I actually like the ability for me to go to this grocery store at midnight and get groceries. Yeah, totally. If we wipe everybody out, I'm not going to be able to do any of that. Right. And none of my friends are going to be able to grow food because they're a power elite people too. Right. So we can't just wipe everybody out. Right. Right. So I have to think that there's some sort of level-headedness that's going on. Right. Like a pilot doesn't want to die. He doesn't want to crash a plane. He's got a family. Yeah. He's got a life.
Yeah, 1 out of a million people are probably a little bizarro and have a death wish or they don't care. But most people are like, yeah, like this is going to impact me.
Yeah.
On a selfish level, I mean, you're right. It's enough to keep society going. And I don't know. You have to have a lot of bizarro people to really have something horrible happen, I think. But
I know. And some other place to live, because if you wipe everybody out and you're unable to get food or gas or ship any or, import any goods.
Well,
how
there
are they
is
gonna
Mars.
live? That's right. Elon Musk.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm just really glad we haven't seen anything. I mean,
yeah, haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah. Although they, all the articles and stuff saying, that I've read saying that we're not, going to see anything. I was like, well, I hope I believe that. But yeah, sure enough, so far so good. This is going to go until what? September 15th? It's a 3-month thing.
Is that what it said? It's 3 months?
3 months.
You're kidding me. Really?
3-month thing.
So they said that we're not supposed to see anything.
Yeah, that it'll just seem like life is normal, and they're going to infiltrate apparently among our community, but we won't really know. It's kind of weird. The only thing I do have to say, and I don't know if this is just because we live right next to a what's it called, base, a military base.
Oh yeah, military base.
Is that there has been a lot more air activity. There's been a lot of helicopters and a lot of extra noise. We saw this is true though. We saw two very, very strange white planes with no markings head over our area going down towards San Diego.
Right.
Within 5 minutes of each other. Very big, looking like jetliners. Made some strange noises like a drone.
Yeah, they sounded like one of those helicopter drone things.
But completely unmarked.
Bizarre.
Very white.
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, it's like we live right next to a military base. Like I'm sure they have all kinds of, military craft and things like that. But
yeah, I know, right?
I don't know. Yeah. At least the end of the world does not seem to be coming anytime soon. According to Dr. Wong.
Dr. Wong, I know. Still waiting for the end of the world. I want to let everyone know, too, that I wanted to sort of announce the show. I forgot to say at the beginning that this show, we're not doing commercials anymore. So we want to let each listener know that our shows are sponsored. And so today's sponsor is Bellicon Rebounders, which I did last night.
Ooh, how was that? Was I asleep already?
You were asleep, and the great thing about it too is that they don't have springs. They have these bungee cords, so no one around you can hear. They're completely silent, so I'm sure you didn't hear anything.
Correct.
It's always good.
I'm sure our neighbors downstairs didn't hear anything either. Which is good because their bedroom's right below our studio office.
Yes, I know, right? So we sell the Bellicon Rebounder, and they have free shipping going on right now, which is awesome. I think shipping was a lot of money because these things are pretty heavy.
Gosh, right?
But yeah, they're offering free shipping, and Bellicons are great. I think they're the best rebounder on the market. I really do. I've tried many of them, and I've researched a lot, and these things are awesome. They're really great, and I do mine for about 25 minutes a day, and I have a torn
ACL,
partially torn, almost completely torn ACL, and I'm able to do it. On any other rebounder, I wasn't. My knee would hurt too much. And rebounding is a great tool for stimulating your lymphatic system, increasing bone density, increasing endorphins, increasing oxygenation of the cells. It's a cellular exercise. So no matter what other exercise you do, you can include rebounding in with your overall program. And I do it also for cancer prevention. And also it's a great way, I was telling Tana before the show, it's a great way to watch documentaries or fun stuff while you're rebounding. I was watching former Pride fights and UFC fights and things.
Oh, you are so funny.
But it's fun. It's a great tool, and you can get it at extremehealthradio.com/Bellicon if you're interested. B as in boy, ELLICON, or they're in our store as well. So check those out.
Not Comic-Con.
Comic-Con,
the convention.
Convention.
Yeah, I can't believe how many documentaries. I mean, I've probably watched hundreds and hundreds of hours of stuff sitting in our sauna and on our rebounder.
I know, right?
Like, what a cool excuse,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I like those two machines together so much, because they're so great to do in tandem.
Yeah.
But they allow us to watch, at least an hour, because I do a half hour in each, basically.
Yeah.
So I get an hour of learning cool stuff, in every day.
It's such a great excuse. I know. I used to laugh when I was really doing the coffee enemas for a while there. When I was having some pretty major stuff going on. It was just such a quiet spa time for me. But I read a whole book. I still laugh about it. I read the whole Women Who Run with Wolves book.
Oh, really?
Over a period of, I don't know how long, a year probably like 6 months.
Gotta put that book down.
But I read the whole book and it just made me laugh so hard.
Really?
Yeah. It's funny what you can do when you a lot of time to take care of yourself, like a certain amount of time, like.
I know, right?
I thought, wow, what you can get done. You can watch, you can learn, you can read, it's just pretty cool. And then you get the benefits for your health. I mean, that cool. Alone is huge. So
it's super cool.
Yeah.
So you love that. Is that on your like top 5 books of all time or top 10?
Yeah, for sure.
Is it?
I was surprised at how much I loved that book. And you know what I have to say? It's not just for women. I know the title kind of throws some guys for a loop, but right after I read it, I remember telling you, this is not just for women. Like, this is one of the most empowering books I've ever read. And I think every human being should read it,
Really?
Yeah. I think it's kind of hard. I don't know if it's hard to get into, but it's really, I remember by the first chapter, like halfway in, I'm like, okay, it took me a little bit to kind of understand, because she tells a lot of tales and fables and stories and things from different cultures. And half of them I'm like, well, this just starts out really stupid. I don't understand why she's telling this.
Yeah.
And then when she breaks it apart, it's like your mind is blown open going, oh my gosh, like, that's the purpose for that story. I've never heard a ton of the tales in there because they're like from cultures I never would have been exposed to otherwise. It's not like the typical Hansel and Gretel fairy tales we all grew up with.
Right.
But she does such a beautiful job of like weaving and unweaving the stories into, just like life affirming, life giving, juicy, go out and rah, live your best life you're made to be.
Really?
And you feel so empowered by the end of that book.
Yeah.
I recommend it to everybody. I mean, don't let the title throw you as a man. It's amazing. I think you should read it. You'd love it.
Yeah, I think I would. I think I will read that.
Well, you're reading one right now that you thought would sound like more of a male title that you said everybody should read, and I really want to read yours.
Yeah.
What's that called again?
It's called King Warrior Magician Lover. Yeah.
And how'd you hear about it?
I've heard about it for a few places online.
Been around for a while, right?
It's been around for a while, by Robert Moore. And I put, we're going to be putting all these books that we read. If you guys are interested in any of our books that we read, we're going to be putting them all on Instagram. So, but yeah, this one is really awesome because it talks about what it means to be a man and what what that archetype is. And so he's got 4 different archetypes: the king, the warrior, the magician, the lover. And each one interfaces with reality in different ways, and each one is accented in our life in specific ways, in how we deal with other people and how we conquer our own demons. And like, for example, the warrior, like the king is more focused on running his kingdom and expanding his land and his property and taking care of those with whom who's helping him do that. And then the warrior modality or motif is more like, we were talking about this the other day, has the shield, but they also have the sword. And so the shield is more sort of represents your need to protect yourself from going into battle. And every day we go into battle in a sense because there's it's so funny saying this, but Alex Jones, he always says there's a battle for your mind. He's got this whole thing, but we need to protect ourselves. We need to protect ourselves from negative influences, depressing people, all this kind of stuff. So that's what the shield represents. But then also the sword represents going in and making something happen and creating a reality for yourself in the world and manifesting something that you want to be doing. And so it's a equal offense defense kind of a thing with the warrior motif. It's really a great book so far.
Wow. How far into it are you?
I'm only I got it on the Kindle and it says I'm 20%.
20%.
I don't know why some books.
Oh my gosh. It doesn't give you page numbers or anything?
It doesn't give me page numbers. Some books on the Kindle have page numbers, but this one doesn't.
How funny.
Yeah.
You're 20% in.
I'm 22% done.
Wow.
So yeah.
You are funny.
Really, really interesting book. But yeah, I like to read The Woman Who Runs with Wolves. I think it's
and I'd like to read that one. We should do a little swapperoo.
Yeah, I know, right?
That'd be great.
And also The Vision, I think you would like.
Oh, you've been telling me about that book for years. Yeah, you read it before I met you, I think, huh?
By Tom Brown, yeah.
By Tom Brown.
Yeah, I read it a long time. I read it, I don't know, before we met, I think, 2000 or something.
What was it about it that stands out to you?
What stands out to me from the book, it's so crazy because it's so long ago and I barely remember anything. I should reread that book. It's been 15 years, but what I remember mostly is it's a story of Tom Brown as a child. and his encounter with a person he calls grandfather. And grandfather was someone who lived in his local town. This is a true story. Someone who lived in his local town, but he was a descendant from the Native American Indians. And this person, grandfather, spent much of his life and much of his time living in nature and connecting to God and connecting to his Native American culture and tradition through nature. And Tom Brown was just a little boy at the time. I think it was about 12 or so when he ran into grandfather and met him.
Okay.
And grandfather takes him under his wing and allows him to go through these spiritual, mystical experiences, these rites of passage that are no longer sort of taught in our culture. And he goes through these mystical, spiritual experiences that were done, that he learned from grandfather through the Native American culture. And what he learns is really profound in terms of reconnecting with your soul, reconnecting with your life purpose, reconnecting with what you're supposed to be doing on the earth. And it's a whole different way of living. And it's a really good book.
Wow.
It's a really good book.
You know, that's interesting because oftentimes I feel like I'd read a book like that. Like Women Who Run with Wolves are like, oh, they have this deep culture infused in Western, current Western modern culture. We don't have that kind of, connection to the earth, and these tribal people had it and blah, blah, blah. And I got kind of like, after you read a book like that, you're like, oh man, I really want to like be a part of a different culture. You almost get kind of like this forlorn sense of wishing you were part of something different. But I'm reading this book right now. It's just blowing my mind, called Soulcraft. Mm-hmm. We happened upon it. We went to the bookstore, last Friday? I guess a week ago. Mm-hmm. And I was looking for a different book.
Because you can still do that in today's society.
You can go to a bookstore and actually buy a book.
Yeah.
We hadn't done that. I felt like we were dating or something, like in the 90s, where you go to bookstores and get coffee.
Coffee house.
But I came across this book. I was looking for that one called The Untethered Soul, which I'm going to read next. But I don't know, the cover of Soulcraft really stuck out to me, and I picked it up, and something about it, just, how it was. It drew me that the next day I was still thinking about it. And you're like, go out of your way, drive a half hour back to the bookstore and go buy that book,
Yeah.
And so
I forced you.
You forced me, really. And I bought it, and let me tell you, it's, I'm only, a chapter and a half. Mm-hmm. It is totally just soul, I don't know how to say it, soul quenching. I feel like it's a book that I've been looking for my whole life that I didn't know I was looking for.
Really?
But he talks about, and already I'm not that far into it. I don't know how much percent, maybe 5% in.
5%. The subtitle is Crossing into the Mysteries of Nature and Psyche.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
That sounds really good.
So you're 5%. Okay.
I'm 5% into my psyche and crossing over into nature and psyche. But he talks about how important it is in our Western culture to kind of stay in there and try to, how do I say this? Attempt to heal and delve into our souls, like the utmost, deepest part of our soul, without belittling or using or abusing other cultures' ways of doing that.
Interesting.
Because he said sometimes it can be seen as disrespectful if like a bunch of us were like, we're going to go sit in a sweat lodge and try to act like Native Americans did and deal with our spirits or our souls.
Okay.
And he's like, there is a respect for that, but often it's like we don't need to repeat and we don't need to like try to be things that we're not. Because we're never going to be those cultures. Uh-huh. So how do we do it in our culture? Like okay. how do we connect, kind of how do we forge away for the first time? Like, I mean, these people had to forge their own culture at some point, but he's like, wow, we live in this crazy society where it doesn't seem like we have anything, but how would this look if we could kind of reconnect to our sacred selves? And
wow,
it's really good.
It says,
definitely good.
1980, depth psychologist Bill Plotkin has been guiding women and men into the wilderness, the red rock canyons and snow-crested mountains of American West, but also into the wilds of the soul. He calls his work soulcraft. There's a great longing in all people to uncover the secrets and mysteries of our individual lives, to find the unique gift we were born to bring to our communities, and to experience our full membership in the more than human world. This journey to soul is a descent into layers of the self much deeper than personality, a journey meant for each of one of us, not just for the heroes and heroines of mythology. A modern handbook for journey soulcraft is not an imitation of indigenous ways. This is what you were just saying.
Exactly.
But a contemporary nature-based approach born from wilderness experience, the traditions of Western culture, and the cross-cultural heritage of all humanity. Filled with stories, poems, and guidelines, Soulcraft introduces over 40 practices that facilitate the descent to the soul, including dream work, wilderness vision fasts, talking across the species boundaries. Ooh. Yeah. Talking to our dogs.
I know, right?
Counsel, self-designed ceremony, nature-based shadow work, and the arts of romance, being lost, and storytelling. Wow.
Right? Doesn't that sound good?
How many pages is it?
It's like 3 something.
Is it?
Or like high 2s. It's real thick.
Wow.
Same with Women Who Run with Wolves. They're very, very thick books, but I mean, not like ridiculously, not like Atlas Shrugged or anything, but not
right.
War of the World. Or what's that other one?
War of the Worlds?
Not War of the Worlds. What was that other book I read? Like James Michener or Hawaii or one of those. Like, oh my gosh, in high school, I'm just having flashbacks to like the book that never ended.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, funny.
But yeah, it is really, 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 really good. And C-Biz in the chat room is interesting. He mentioned this a couple weeks ago, the last free-for-all, but he said it again. The last book he read is crazy and profound. It's called The Brain Maker, and its implications are huge. I remember bringing it up and looking at it and thinking that looks like a really good one.
I need to add that to my book list. I'm going to create a book list. We should both do this. I'm going to create a book list on our website of books we read and books we are going to read, and people can go on there and check that out.
Yeah, we should. That's a great idea.
Yeah, because there's so many books that I have that are on my personal list. I just need to put them on the internet.
Right.
You know, speaking of conspiracy theories, someone wrote this in from my YouTube video. I've been doing these rants or in question answer style questions on YouTube.
I love that side of you. It's fun.
Yeah, it's cool. It's been a lot of fun. It's really, really, I don't know. There's something happens when you get to speak your own truth in a way that is fully expressed and is fully you, in a way that you're able to convey ideas without being attacked or without. I mean, I think there's something medicinal about being able to fully express who you are, and being able to do this lately on YouTube has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, you felt really drawn to do it, didn't you?
I just feel called to do it. Yeah, we're getting the listener questions. People write in and they ask questions, and I don't really read all the questions. I just kind of give the general overview and then I share my thoughts. But yeah, I just think there's something about it, because I think so much in our culture people hold things back, and I think that's why you get a lot of people that comment, you know, on videos, or people say disparaging things online because they can hide behind. I think just we're so suppressed, you know, in our culture. We can't fully express who we are anywhere. You know, we can't really be who we want to be. You know?
I guess, yeah. You're really putting a lot of judgment behind. You don't care. Yeah. Like I'm drawn to doing those videos too, and I haven't yet. And I think it's still because I'm a little bit like, ooh, putting yourself out there in another way, you're going to get more people. I know. You know, thinking that you're this, that, or the other thing. But I'm getting much stronger in my convictions of who I am than I was before. But yeah, I think it's really cathartic. Probably
it is. It feels really good to do, because you I mean, you realize on one level it's a lot of ego work too, because you know we identify ourselves with our ego, and we think the ego is us, and we think that we are our thoughts and our opinions. And but I think that if you go about doing this kind of work and getting your thoughts and opinions out there, while at the same time realizing that none of these things are you at all, it's just really cleansing, I think, for me.
I do too.
You know?
Yeah. You seem like, after I come home from running errands or doing life and come back and I said, what'd you do? And you're like, oh, I just did, 2 or 3 more videos. And you seem like really, like you're flying high, you know?
Yeah,
you seem really flushed by it and happy. And
you should do it.
I know, I should.
They're fun.
I should.
Yeah.
I will.
So Vicky writes in from our last video that I did. It was entitled "Drug Companies Are Lying to You." And Vicky says, "Why does our government support the drug companies who are killing us and will no doubt break the bank as we keep writing bad checks to cover the cost of this lunacy? I can't imagine that they could be doing this for just money. Does someone take them into a room as soon as they are elected and tell them how to vote, or their lives and of them and their family are threatened? Or maybe they are clones of the real people we elected and done away with."
Well, hey.
I can't believe the House Here she says, I can't believe the House voted for the GMO Dark Act, giving Monsanto the power to give us genetically modified frankenfood with no labeling. What's going on?
Yeah.
What will the drug companies do when we are broke and they can't suck any more life out of the government coffers? You know, I thought that was strange too. Remember all that stuff that was going on with March Against Monsanto? And, you know, at the last minute, they spent, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars putting together more of a media campaign to, but still, you know what? I can't imagine. You know, for me, I don't believe that, I really don't believe that vote even
does anything.
Yeah. I just think that's what they wanted to do, and they did it, and they just give us this illusion of voting, you know, because who's really doing any checking on who's tallying and actually counting these votes? I mean, we're told all these great things about how great our voting system is, and we're told that we've got the best system in the world, when in reality it's completely archaic.
Right.
I mean, we have the internet now.
Right.
I mean, let's move up with the times here. With this whole genetically modified food thing, I was shocked when that passed here in California.
Oh my gosh.
How they don't even have to label anything.
No.
And I can't imagine.
I forget about how the fish thing is, but yeah, all kinds of weird.
Yeah, that's right. Genetically modified fish.
Yeah, and
salmon, right?
Salmon and yeah.
I mean,
I don't know if I forget in California, if I should know this, if they're required to label it or not, but something
not.
fishy went down.
No, they're
no
not.
pun intended. I don't think that they are they? And it passed on like Christmas Eve.
Remember that?
Like 2 years ago or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, what the heck is going on?
They always pass these laws. You always make me aware of it, but they always pass these laws like, you know, on holiday evenings.
No one's paying attention. Everyone's out at presents or at church or whatever. And
that's when they brought in the whole Federal Reserve System in 1913, December 22nd or 23rd, when half of Congress and everyone was with their families. They decided to pass on Jekyll Island this whole Federal Reserve thing that we're using now.
Gosh.
So it seems like they're taking the script from these people, but I don't believe that the majority of people, if you were actually to do a poll here in California, I don't believe the majority of people want genetically modified food. I think the majority of people would want them labeled too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, are we living in a free society? Who knows? Doesn't seem like it in a lot of respects, but, you know, yeah, I don't know what else to say about that.
Yeah, I don't either. Get a farm.
I know, right? Grow your own food.
If you can get the right seeds.
Yeah,
it does seem a little sketchy.
And you're not downwind from a Monsanto farmer.
Oh, gosh, right. Yeah, I feel like trying to find a non-GMO organic papaya is nearly impossible last week.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I was trying to find a papaya. My gosh, it was bizarre. I'm calling all these places. Do you have organic papayas? Everybody's like, no, we never have organic papayas. Okay, well, what do you have? Well, we have papayas. We have Hawaiian papayas and we have Mexican papayas. Well, what's the difference? Oh, well, we don't know. Like, nobody really knew, you know?
Really?
So then I call Whole Foods and said, ask the same questions. And at least they were a lot more aware, like, oh, yeah, they're non-GMO, but they're not organic. Right. Because it's apparently really hard to find an organic and non-GMO. Anyway, I went for like 20 minutes calling all these stores going, what is up with this, Right. So then I get on the dirty... What is it? The Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15.
Oh, right.
Those ones. I'll write a note about that. But I thought that papaya originally was one of the Dirty Dozen, and I thought, oh, that's something you don't want to mess around with. Papayas are really scary. But then I went onto the website, and papaya is apparently one of the more protected ones if you're gonna eat a piece of fruit that's not organically grown. It's apparently not that bad.
Okay.
But what you do have to watch out for is the GMOs. They're one of the most highly messed with GMO-wise type of fruits. So I came up with, I did find places I located, even Trader Joe's has non-GMO papaya, same with Whole Foods.
Okay.
Although not organic, I'm assuming that they're still cleaner than a lot of the other ones. So at this point, I'm just having to make I could have the choice not to eat papaya at all, but it's been highly recommended to me for the enzymatic type things, to just eat tons of papaya all the time. So I'm feeling a lot better since I started doing it too.
Really?
Yeah.
Really doing a lot better in terms of your... Hey, speaking of, let's talk a little bit about your health challenge here.
Okay.
Your body's health challenge.
My 4th of July experience?
Yeah, that along with... Yeah, it seems like you've been...
feeling a lot better.
Making some good progress.
Yeah. So I do contribute my progress to a time that I had, a couple months ago or 6 weeks ago with nutritionist Nikki Moses in Glendale.
Mm-hmm.
And she really helped me by the hair analysis test that Dr. Wilson does, Dr. Lawrence Wilson. But she kind of put it all together for me, and it really showed me, printed out from my hair analysis, what was lacking, vitamin and minerals, and what I'm deficient in, what metals are really high. And it seems to be like the general consensus is that I'm not as high in mercury as I am in other metals, including aluminum, like super high in aluminum.
Yeah. And also, what's the other one? Arsenic. No,
was it arsenic?
Something starts with a T, I think. Maybe not.
Oh gosh. There's so much information, like with my health. I feel like every other day I'm like having to like revisit all the.
You learn something new.
Yeah. But she put me on she muscle tested me for a ton of different things, and let me tell you, like ever since I've been on the protocol she's put together for me, I've been feeling a lot better. Yeah. It's a lot of vitamins and supplements and things like that. Well, that has really been helping. So then this is so random. You had sent me an email.
Oh, it's my fault.
I know.
It's my fault.
I blame you for everything. I'm just kidding.
What did I do?
Months and months ago, you sent me an email and you said, "Oh, this looks really interesting. This guy looks interesting."
Right.
So I brought it up, and it was medical medium Anthony William, who is apparently on Hay House, which I love me some Hay House.
The Hay House. She's referring to the Hay House Summit that we get every year. You guys should check that out. I'm not sure if it's still available, but we'll put a link to it in the show notes.
And the Hay House authors are just awesome.
Yeah.
We've had a few. Have we had a few Hay House authors?
Yeah, we have Jessica Ordner.
That's right.
We've had a few.
I think even Susan Smith Jones is Hay House.
Is she Hay House as well?
I think so.
Okay, so
and what's his Dr. Dispenza.
Oh, Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Yeah.
Oh,
and Bruce Lipton.
Bruce Lipton, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I got to write these people down. Hold on. Dr.
No worries.
Lipton.
Yeah, for those that are interested, we had great interviews with Dr. Joe Dispenza and Dr. Bruce Lipton on our site. Really great work. And, I'm really drawn. I love the physical, and I love taking care of myself and taking herbs and supplements and doing all kinds of things. Lately, I've been doing a lot more green juices lately. And I love all that stuff. And I love the fitness and exercise and all that. But to me, the real root of everything is the mental, emotional, spiritual. When you can get that dialed in, usually it's like a cascading effect where the physical falls into line after that.
Isn't that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Speaking of that, afterward, I want to talk about your weight.
Oh, yeah. My weight.
Not to put you on the spot, but kind of.
Yeah.
Where was I? Oh, so I opened up this email and I started looking at this guy and I thought, wow, he really seems to, I don't know what I think of these mediums or people, but I'm like, this guy seems amazing, reading hundreds and hundreds of testimonies about him and how he's helped people. I just really, really think there was something to him. So I'm reading about like how hard it is to get an appointment with him for a health reading and all this stuff. And I don't know, I just felt really, really drawn to him though. So I was reading that it might take months or years to even get an appointment, but basically you can put your name in a pool and a random lottery will select you, and then, you can have your appointment with him.
Right. So
I just put my name in there, and said to God, I'm like, you know what, if this is part of my healing process, and it sounds crazy to even think that, but if he could be used and shed some light on this mystery kind of symptoms and illness I've been still dealing with, that'd be great, So I put it out there and just let it go. Well, what? A month and a half later, 6 weeks later, I get a call from his lady that does his scheduling. And she's like, you've been selected and randomly, drawn at random and for your appointment. And I said, okay, well, this is just too weird because people wait years and it's so sad because he has thousands of people that that want to work with him. Mm-hmm. And by the way, medical doctors are using him now. He just wrote a book. I don't know if it's out yet for release, but
it's called Medical Medium.
It's called Medical Medium.
Let's put it on the list. Yeah.
But yeah, doctors who are stumped at patients, predicaments and health concerns will use him to basically go in and completely accurately give them a diagnosis.
Yeah.
And not just diagnosing things, but he'll give protocols. That's what's so cool about him, to give protocols for overcoming these illnesses and things. And they're pretty foolproof and pretty spot on. So anyway, of course I get my call and I was like, okay, I'll have to you go for it. Really expensive,
Right.
We put it on a credit card, but I'm thinking I just need to do this. So, 4th of July, he had a 4th of July, 7:15 a.m. spot. And I was like, okay, great way to start Day of Freedom, Free medical freedom.
Right.
So I wake up and you were on the other line. It was funny. You're not allowed to record the calls. It's very, very, you have to basically not sign something, but agree to his terms. And
right.
so I said, oh my gosh, I want your voice to be my other voice, because I'll forget half the stuff. So we're, feverishly writing down notes and things, but he basically will do a scan of your body while he's talking to you and just let this spirit speak to him, who he says is the voice of compassion. It's like this all compassionate, godlike spirit who basically talks to him and tells him what's up. So apparently he said that my biggest thing is I do have a bunch of heavy metals that are not being able to be filtered out of my body because of an infection. And what he said my infection was in my intestines. It's a strep infection. Which is bizarre because many times people think, strep you only get in your throat, but it takes residence in your throat, but it exists throughout your whole body. Throughout your whole body. Yeah. And he said it was lower intestine, correct? Small intestine, yeah. Small intestine. And then he said something about like, oh yeah, I see inflammation up in your left upper digestion, which is exactly where my pancreatic stuff had been causing problems. And he pretty much nailed everything. Like you think that, a medium or a psychic or somebody would. Right. And I know it sounds crazy, but he literally was like, well, this is what you do about it. I see it all the time. And that's when he broke it down into supplements and then dietary. And papaya was part of the biggest thing. Papaya. Just eat as much papaya as you can all day long, just however you got to do it. Smoothies, just spoon it out. Like, dude, just tons of papayas and bananas. And he said certain supplements too. Yeah. A lot of targeted supplements. A lot of targeted supplements. So I ordered non-alcohol tinctures of cat's claw, olive leaf extract, vegan B12, liquid iron. Oh, yeah. Or no, zinc. There's a couple other ones that are still on the way, like a probiotic and something else. But man, between these two, between Nikki Moses's work and my work with Anthony William, I'm like, really feel like I'm starting to get this all put together. I really am. For the first time, I feel like in years, I'm starting to see glimpses of my old health and vitality. Really? Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that weird? Yeah, that's awesome. Do you think it's weird? I mean, it is weird in terms of of what we think is normal, but we're programmed to think certain things are normal in our society, and we're programmed to live within a pre-selected, marginalized idea of what we think is normal. Right. And so if you live within that sort of 5 sense reality that we're taught, in reality, there's so many more, there's more smells that are happening. There's more frequencies. There's all kinds of stuff that are happening all around us that we have no idea is there. Smells, colors. I think we only see a very small spectrum of light. Wow. There's all kinds of light frequencies we don't see. There's smells and so, if you're able to tap into that, is that normal? Well, it's not normal, but that doesn't mean normal it's just because it's not normal doesn't mean it's not true. Mm-hmm. Or that it's evil. Or that it's true or untrue or evil or not. I mean, normal is sort of the wrong word to use, I think. Because, is it normal that I'm jumping on a rebounder at 11:30 at night and watching pride fights before bed? No, that's not normal, right? Is it normal to do coffee enemas like you do? Is it normal to do green smoothies and to take all these supplements? Well, it's not normal. Right. But it doesn't mean it's not right or good for you. And so this whole idea of normal thing, I think it just, it depends who you're comparing yourself to. Right. Totally. If you're comparing yourself to people that I believe the rest of society is completely abnormal. Mm. Or maybe they're normal because the majority of the people do it. So if 51% of people do something, does that make it normal? Right. No, it just makes it more popular. Yeah, it makes, I guess the way we view society and culture, it makes it normal. Yeah. But normal it's just not the correct term to use when you're asking yourself if what you're doing is good for you or healthy or is okay for you. You know? That's interesting because I know so often I feel like you have to like defend yourself, especially, amongst my more rigid Christian friends, I should say, Yeah. Like they wouldn't know what to do with that. I'd be like judged up the wazoo. Thinking, for you seeing a medium? Well, yeah, you hear the word medium, even medical medium, and you're like, whoa, that just sounds bizarre. That's evil. Like any person who's a medium, like, I wish I could bring it up right now, but my friend Robin, who I love talking with, and she's just so full of life and truth and just the most amazing friend anybody could ask for. She was talking about, a passage in the Bible about how, was it Old Testament? Gosh, I'm totally going to blow this, but there's basically a story in the Bible where there was a use of, God had one of the people call in a medium to deliver a message.
Right.
Was it Ezra? Was it, Ezekiel? I'm going to blow this. I should look it up, but I can't find it on.
I don't know Bible characters.
I don't know. I should know Bible characters. I know most of them, but that one's just like, that one was a story. It clearly didn't mean anything to me back in the day.
Right.
But now that I'm like, what? Even in the Bible, somebody was called to.
Well, you were just looking recently at the Urim and the Thummim that were in the Bible.
What the heck is that?
These sort of stones that were used in the Old Testament times. I think there's about 3 or 4 references to the Urim and the Thummim, because you've been doing some work with pendulums lately. Mm-hmm. And this Urim and the Thummim was something that was used to determine the will of God in the Old Testament.
How crazy is that?
And so we're not sure. Like, a lot of people say, the Bible, just because it references something doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy, true, or good. So, what's the story in the Bible where David, kills Bathsheba's husband, puts him on the front line of battle purposely because he knew he would die there just so that he could have sex with Bathsheba.
Right.
And so just because the Bible tells the story doesn't mean it's necessarily a good thing.
Right, of course.
And so people will say the same thing with the Urim and the Thummim, is that just because the Bible says it, doesn't necessarily mean that it's something that you should do. But I find it interesting, though, that of all the books that could be given to us, if the Bible is truly inspired by God,
why would that stuff be allowed?
Yeah, why would that be allowed in there? It's just really interesting that it's mentioned, Urim and the Thummim. And also in the New Testament, they cast lots and all kinds of different things to determine.
What was this casting lots? Was it like rolling dice? I mean, what was it?
Yeah, it was like rolling dice.
Was it like little stones and stuff?
Yeah.
And if they landed a certain way, then they'd make decisions based on that? Yeah, check this out. What are the Urim and Thummim? Exodus 28:30. The Urim and Thummim are rather mysterious objects. The Bible does not specifically describe them. Even their names, possibly Urim meaning light and Thummim meaning perfection, give scholars scarcely a clue to their form and function. Exodus 28:30 says that the Urim and Thummim were placed in a breastplate that Aaron, the high priest, wore. One of the functions of this breastplate was to reveal God's judgment, account of which Moses records in Numbers 27:21. In this case, the Urim revealed that what God wanted Israel to do. Saul and David probably consulted the Urim and Thummim through the high priest, and then they give references. Biblical use of Urim and Thummim is not specifically mentioned after the reign of David. Isn't that funky?
Yeah. Yeah, and they wore those Urim and Thummim on the certain parts of their body. Even the breastplates that they would use going into the temple back in biblical times, when they built the temple of God in the Old Testament, they would wear like the 12 stones they would wear on their breastplate when they would enter into the Holy of Holies, where supposedly God lived, where the Ark of the Covenant was. They would wear place these stones in different parts of their body that represented all 12 tribes of Israel. And each stone represented a certain tribe. And so, I mean, it's just so interesting. I think that we're talking about this the other day, there's so much going on in ancient cultures that we have no idea how they lived. I mean, these people were just different people. They were just categorically, they were different. They saw the world different. They acted different. They thought different.
Right.
I mean,
they relied on nature different. They relied on God different.
They were connected to God in different ways than we do today. They had different stressors in their lives, so they weren't dealing with this modern society business that we have today. They were more connected to their culture and to their people, and there was much more community.
Their land, their food. I mean, everything.
There's an animating spirit that lived within them that they were able to connect to, and they were able to connect with through nature and different sources. And people were just so different back then. I don't think that we have any idea as to what these people were like. Because our culture, our society it's so different. even in the last 10 years with all this modern technology.
I know. Talk about change.
Tana in the chat room was saying, just kind of making a joke about how I have no cell phone and no Facebook and things like that.
Yeah.
But these things are changing us, these things are just really changing us, how we live and how we connect with God. And so this idea of normal, I mean, I don't even know what normal is.
I know. How do you define normal? How do you define normal? There really isn't normal. I
mean, is it normal to eat Twinkies and watch 4 hours of TV a day?
I know.
Is that normal? I guess it's normal. Like what's her name was saying in the chat room, Anne Louise, she was saying, it's common, but it's not normal.
Really good. That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah. It's so, is a medical medium normal? No, it's not normal. Is it common? It's not common either, because most people don't see medical mediums.
Right.
But is it going to help you, and is it something that could benefit your health? Which so far it seems like it really has.
So far it really has, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Isn't that funky?
Bizarre, right?
It is bizarre.
So tell me about this pendulum you've been doing. I come into your room at night and you were sitting there
oh my gosh,
chanting over a cauldron.
I was not.
Chanting over a cauldron under the full moon with the pendulum.
I was not. By the way, Seba has put a really great link in here to a book, though. He said he's been reading a really interesting book, or there is a really interesting book that is about the Old Testament that also connects with you with something you guys would find really interesting about halfway through it. And it's called...
DMT and the Soul of Prophecy. Cool. A New Science of Spiritual Revelation.
Rick Strassman, MD.
Oh, Rick Strassman.
That guy's cool.
Yeah, he did the DMT, the Spirit Molecule movie, and he's been doing a lot of his research on... most of his research his entire life on psychedelic plant medicines.
That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, he's on our list to contact to be on the show.
Ooh, Rick Strassman.
Rick Strassman.
I've seen that movie with you, haven't I?
Yeah, DMT, the Spirit Molecule, and this one is called DMT and the Soul of Prophecy, a New Science of Spiritual Revelation in the Hebrew Bible.
Huh.
Wow. There's a book. There's a book I want to read. Speaking of the Bible,
you want to read something?
By John Marco Allegro, and there's one here called The Dead Sea Souls in the Christian Myth, which looks really interesting. But then there's one that I want to read called The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross, a study of the nature and origins of Christianity within the fertility cult. So he draws this correlation between mushrooms and the cross.
What?
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating.
Like what? How could that even?
I don't even know. I haven't read the book yet. I need to read. I need to read more.
We're going to find out more. Learn about space mushrooms and things like that.
Yeah.
Mushrooms are a trip.
So tell me about this this pendulum.
Well, I've been reading a book called Pendulum Power.
You're making fun of me.
I know, we are so strange. Yeah, I was at a used bookstore maybe a couple of years ago, and I picked it up because I thought it was really interesting doing some past work with Chris Kaler. Chris Kaler is the first person, we've had him on our show quite a bit, but he's the first person that I even heard the word pendulum from, to be honest. I never even thought about it, and he seemed to do a lot of really interesting work with what he said was a pendulum made for him to do some dowsing and things like that. So, yeah, I've been thinking about it. I started reading this book, and I thought, I've dabbled in the past a little bit with, it was interesting. I have to go back a little bit because Allison Adams, we've had her on our show as well, and she's an amazing natural dentist, and she's become a good friend of mine, and we'll email back and forth a lot. But she mentioned in her book, The Natural Recovery Plan, about how you can do the pendulum for finding out like the best supplements for yourself and herbal remedies and things like that. And I thought, wow, she's like Allison's very spiritual and stuff and very open, but she's also very, not allopathic, but very all about treating the external body, not just the internal stuff. So in the back of her book, when she says, you guys might want to, not just us, but like anybody reading the book to find out further, but if things are good for them to use the pendulum, it's pretty reliable. So after that, I thought, okay, well, it's probably not all this hocus pocus stuff. It seems to have a lot of validity to it, because it's a lot like muscle testing, and muscle testing has seemed to be very, very true for me. And by the way, when Nikki Moses, the nutritionist I'm working with, was, when the medical medium guy said that I had a strep infection, I looked back at old paperwork from when we were in Texas a year and a half ago, and I saw this guy, Andy from Hill Country Health, who we mentioned a lot. and had a session with him, nutrition and muscle testing and stuff. He had a giant circle around a strep infection at the time. Do you remember that?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that was bizarre because I'm like, wow, all these, year and a half, 2 years later or whatever it's been, like he knew it all along, and he had suggested I get on olive leaf extract as well and some other things to knock this thing down. But for some reason, it didn't really make sense to me then. That could be like in another part of your body. And I thought, I don't have strep throat, like anyone would think,
Right.
So anyway, I found the validity of muscle testing to be very true. So I thought, why can't this dowsing thing and this pendulum thing have some truth to it?
Right.
So anyway, yeah, I went to this place called the Third Eye in our town here. It's a really cool little store. And yeah, I picked a pendulum that stuck out to me. It's just like it's a chain with, some kind of a stone. I think the stone is called the Shiva Lingam stone.
Look at you. Looky look. What is it called? The Shiva what?
Lingam?
How do you spell that?
Lingam, I think.
All right.
Shiva, Shiva Lingam.
I got nothing against Shiva Lingams.
Well, who does?
But
yeah, I've been kind of messing around with it, asking about certain protocols for my health and other things going on in my life, certain situations. When stressful things hit or things you didn't see coming, you can consult it about that. And I'm still reading the book because I'm not quite sure, you don't want to use it like fortune teller would or something to try to like tell a certain future, because I do think there's free will and stuff. But as far as like trying to dig deeper for some answers, it's like your subconscious is communicating to your mind in a way that you're going to get a real answer. It's like your body can't lie. Like when it knows the answer, kind of like muscle testing. Like your body's not going to turn against you and give you a wrong answer. I find it to be very fascinating. And with my pendulum, it's very, it's kind of bizarre, but I mean, it gives me full on answers, like very strong yeses, very strong nos. It's been quite interesting.
One of the things that's interesting about the pendulum as well as muscle testing, I think, is that
Maggie.
Is that I find it just really interesting that the idea, whether or not it's true or not, or whether or not it's evil or good, you take those two things out of the equation. And the idea of the pendulum is interesting to me because it forces you to sort of look within and try to find the answers that you already probably know. Like you intuitively know things, you intuitively know that, you should make a right instead of a left here. Or, if you're driving down the street and your partner says, no, I think we should go right here, and you think you should go left, the person that's more in tune with their nature will have the right direction.
Yeah, right.
And so whether it's right or wrong or works or doesn't work, what it does is it sort of forces you to sort of get in touch with your feelings and your own intuition. And I believe that intuition is put there by God.
Right.
And so connecting with that is not any kind of like idea of worshiping man or worshiping yourself or anything like that. It's reconnecting. It's restoring a broken connection.
Wow.
It's putting two wires together that have been severed by, this sort of fake kind of world that we live in that teaches us that we need to look to everyone else for answers for everything instead of inside. Yeah.
Right. Because I am a firm believer if I believe God resides in me, which I do, we're all parts of God, then how can God turn against himself, kind of thing? How can, if we're accessing our most high self, it's like, I believe God's and our creator's at the root of all that. So, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I'm sure that people will think this just sounds insane. And, my normal kind of quote normal, more conservative Christian friends and upbringing would probably strongly disagree with this, but it's just part of my journey. It's part of figuring out like who God really is, I think, for myself, and who can judge that,
I know, right?
Yeah, if people say you're playing with fire, this stuff sounds evil or whatever, it's just like, well, I'm not scared of it, and I feel like I'm connected enough with God on that level to hear if I'm going down a path that's not as beneficial for me as another path. So that's the only thing you really have to go off of, really. I mean, that's all we all really have to go off of.
For sure, that's the only thing you have to go off of.
I know. So it's interesting. So yeah, that's been my little explorations lately into.
Yeah, I thought it's interesting too that the guy in Texas, Andy from Hill Country Health Store, mentioned the same thing about the strep.
Isn't that funky?
Yeah, very bizarre. Very bizarre.
And then, of course, you're like, oh, man, maybe I would have been so much farther along had I dealt with it then. But I didn't, I guess everything for a reason, right? Like,
I know, right?
I had to go down a little further to be able to really feel for people more with health things and other kinds of challenges. So
yeah.
I'm grateful for it.
Hey, I'm wondering if some of the people in the chat room can help. We just got a question here from Sylvia. And she says, hi, Justin, I love the information provided on your show and all the different guests. I do have a problem that perhaps you could lead me in the right direction, please. I'm actually the wrong person to ask this question because I don't really know. I don't have a cell phone. She says, I subscribe to your podcast on my iPhone, and the only ones that came up as available are episodes from November 2nd, 2012 through May 15th, 2013, and would really like to get the newer episodes. Is this where I must use the Stitcher app instead of my regular iPodcasts app? I have a lot of catching up to do. I pass on information to others that also seek to heal naturally or at least take care of their health and not fall into the system's way of, quote, managing whatever symptoms we're experiencing. I love listening to you both and Miss Kate when she is not on an episode.
Oh, that's nice.
Both of you seem so down to earth. May God bless you both for your tireless work to inform the masses of their options out there.
Oh.
Sylvia, yeah, I don't know. Maybe some people in the chat room if you subscribe to our podcasts on your phone, are you still getting the updates? I don't know that.
I think
you subscribe through iTunes. I would try iTunes or Stitcher probably. That'd probably be the best one. Tana in the chat room says she uses Podcast Addict. She has an Android.
Yes,
I was going to say Android.
Who's Android?
It was just my inability to understand what an Android really is. She has current updates, and Anne says, look at the feed in your iPodcast in your subscription, and she gets the updates.
Wow.
Yeah, and CBiz says he subscribes through YouTube and gets the updates through email. So
okay.
Yeah.
Wow, thanks, guys. Quick
thank you.
Love the chat room.
You're going to be getting rid of your cell phone, too, pretty soon. Kate.
I know. I'm almost to the end of it.
I know, right?
Yes. Not like I use it much these days anyway, but it's going to be a thing of the past.
I know, right?
I cannot wait. Counting down the days.
Sorry, I am listening in London to a recording of your radio interview with Kate and Dr. John Bergman. Let's see. This is a listener question from Francis. I've discovered him, and researching Dr. Bergman has led me to you guys. My body is presenting me with multiple issues, which I'm finding challenging. However, I have a total belief that I am in control of the situation and feel excited that I am incredibly close to arriving at my answers. I really don't want to give credence to what it has been decided by a medical doctor I have, as I am not buying into it. Nice. I sense that you will understand this and not think of me as evasive. I am genuinely grateful, so thankful to you for taking time to send me an email. I have an inkling that we all believe that we don't have to accept the diagnosis and prognosis of traditional conventional physicians. Have a great day. Very best wishes.
Wow.
That's nice.
That's really nice.
Yeah, we do not have to take their diagnosis.
No, we don't.
I think a secondary virus. I think that's a secondary. That's a secondary problem,
isn't it?
It is.
I know.
It's good to put a label on something that you feel like you're experiencing, but in the end, has nothing to do with that label at all.
No.
Because all disease. Dr. Massey was talking about this. All disease is invisible in nature. There's no such thing as a disease that doesn't start in an invisible way. So cancer, the tumors are just a physical representation of what's going on in an invisible level.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
We're stuck in this ability to only look at physical symptoms and say you have XYZ. But in reality, you could have XYZ with no physical manifestations of that, with no tumors. You can have cancer with no tumors.
Wow.
So understanding that, it takes the ability to deal with a diagnosis much better.
Right.
Huh.
Yeah, I feel like that. Anytime you allow yourself to have something scary told to you, or you start to go there and your body reacts, that is your body reacting to a secondary diagnosis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's even
the way you word things, like
it's powerful.
my infection or the heavy metals I have in my body. It's like,
Right.
I really realize you have to be careful about how you even say those things. Like,
Yeah.
my body has a heavy metal issue, or my body has this because it's not us. I know that you're always really great about that. And it's like, I know that, but you have to be really, really constantly aware.
Because we're taught at such a young age to make identifications with everything.
Right.
With my parents, my dog, my body,
Right.
my name, my profession, everything. You're taught to identify with these things.
Right.
And when you're, taught, you think of roll call in school. Bill, raise your hand here.
Right.
Bob here, Jimmy, whatever,
Right.
here. And so you're taught to react to a name.
Right.
And so when you start thinking like, oh, I have RA,
You're like, here, you're raising your hand for it,
Yeah, I have cancer. No one, there's not a human being alive that has cancer.
Yeah. Right.
There's a lot of human bodies that have cancer that people take on, but when they realize they're not their body and they're not their cancer, you can't accurately say that I have cancer. You can't say that. So once you start breaking apart the separations and making distinctions between the two, you can recognize, create a little bit of space in between those things.
Right. That's very NLP of you.
NLP.
How did you first hear of neuro-linguistic programming? I think it's a trip.
Yeah, I want to learn more about it through David Wolf, I think.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
NLP.
I think it's powerful.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
That's that kind of thing. It's not using disparaging talk against your own body to attack your own self, basically, right?
Because people will say that, if you buy into the sort of all of the hippie kind of stuff, and you say that words have vibrational energy, and people will write words on their water, like love and all this stuff, and that's all well and good, but then they'll talk to people in a way that brings back a negative response. Right. So if you ask someone a question in a way that elicits a response that is negative, then they're speaking negativity to you. And if you believe that water and all these things carry frequency, and you take in these frequencies into your body, then it makes sense for you to do it with water. But why would you not be cognizant of the language that you use with someone else so that they speak back to you something positive?
Really good point.
But
no one,
who knows if that's true, but
maybe not, but most people don't even understand that, like, we are bodies of water and frequency, and that those things can even affect that our words even have any effect on our physical bodies anyway.
Right.
It's weird.
That's weird, isn't it?
So much more going on.
And even still with our minds and our souls and how we talk to ourselves.
Right.
If we're not talking to ourselves internally, our internal dialogue, if that's negative, our cells are going to be responding to that.
Isn't that trippy?
Yeah.
I know. They will be.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, it's a good story to believe that's true,
Yeah.
I have no way of proving that. It's one of those things that's empowering to believe.
Right.
So, if something is empowering to believe, I'll believe it, even if it's not true.
Yeah.
Or if something is disempowering, I won't believe it.
Right.
Even if it is true, because it doesn't serve me.
Right.
There's just this recent shootings going on. I don't even know anything about it.
I didn't even hear about it.
Yeah, there's some, but I just, right now in my life, I'm like the warrior with the shield. I got to protect myself.
Yeah. Protect your space, hold your ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't get
I didn't even hear about that either. Is it some big deal going on?
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
Veronica writes in, thanks for letting me be a part of your natural health education and community. My biggest health challenging is balancing hormones. Have you heard of this? Iatrogenic Cushing's disease for 15 years, and would like to know if you have any info or shows that talk about restoring and balancing the flight or fight and adrenal hormones back to normal.
Ooh.
My endocrine system was damaged from use of steroids prescribed to treat extreme skin dermatitis.
Ooh.
I was not educated at the time. I was being prescribed these dangerous steroids to treat the skin disease. A short time using these steroids turned me into an overweight, dark-skinned, disease-sick person with no self-esteem. Dang.
Oh, gosh.
Wow, steroid. I wonder what she took.
I don't know.
Veronica, if you're listening, let us know what you took. Sorry for ranting. Any info or help would be greatly appreciated. Best regards, Veronica. Cushing's disease and hormones and adrenal. Wow. Steroids for extreme skin dermatitis. Wow. The first person that comes to mind is Dr. Marita, who we had in studio.
Oh, Dr. Marita. That's right. Gosh. Good one.
I love your surprise.
Well, yeah. You just
Dr.
pulled...
Marita.
I loved her. Dr. Marita.
Yeah.
She was great.
She was cool.
She was so cool.
And then who are the two? Dr. Teresa Dale would be another one.
Oh, right.
For women's hormones. And who was the other person that we...
The Dr. Ann...
Ann Louise Gittleman?
No. And I love her, though. Shoot. Ann Baroque.
Ann Baroque.
Wasn't she?
Yes.
Wasn't she big hormone?
I think she was.
I think so. I don't want to lead people astray.
What was that other website that we were looked up?
Women to Women or something?
Women to Women, yeah. I think the 2 is the number 2.
Okay.
And there's some great doctors on there who deal with women's health.
Yeah.
And hormones, yeah.
We'll have to post that for sure. I think it was that, yeah.
Yeah, adrenal hormones. Yeah, that's something, I would look into the work of Dr. Marita. She's done a lot of work in this.
Yes, I agree. Up in Canada, our friend in Canada.
Shirley writes in, 79 and a half years young.
Love her.
Isn't she great?
Yes.
I love your show. I've always tried to do things natural as much as possible. I'm on a very limited income and cannot do all I used to do. My question is, I walk with a cane and can only do water exercise for now. I want to know if jumping...
I think Maggie just burped.
Maggie just burped.
Wow, she's crazy over there.
She's just... I want to know if jumping up and down in the pool will do the same thing as rebounding. I do water aerobics 3 days a week, but do not have access to a rebounder. Thank you for your show and for your info. Shirley. P.S. I take no prescription drugs.
Oh, I love her.
I love that. Doctors must look at her cross-eyed because they look at us cross-eyed.
Uh-huh.
Remember,
you don't take anything?
I rarely go to a medical doctor, but years ago, the last time I did, they were shocked that I didn't take any prescription drugs.
They do look at us cross-eyed.
Don't they?
Yeah, imagine being 79 and...
I love that. P.S. I take no prescription drugs.
That is the best.
That's awesome. She says
it's a great way to end that email.
She says, I'm 79 and a half years young.
Yep.
That's
Adam
awesome.
Bergstrom would love her.
Yeah.
Talk about your languaging, right?
Yeah, that's great. So she walks with a cane and she does water exercise. You know what? Shirley, just keep doing the water exercises. Do whatever you can do, Well,
yeah. It's only going to help.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, as far as just an objective answer to your question, I don't think that the water exercises, in fact, I know it's not going to have the same impact as rebounding. It's going to be better in different ways because water exercise, is just different than rebounding. But in terms of the things that rebounding can do, it's not going to be accomplished completely with water exercises. However, you're 79 and a half years old. Years young. 79 and a half revolutions around the sun.
Yes, there you go.
So whatever you're doing seems to be working.
Mm-hmm.
So just keep doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
That is so... Keep charging it, Shirley.
I love that.
It makes me so happy.
She says, I love your show. She's 79 and a half years young.
That makes me so happy.
Want to do one more email?
Yeah. You got another one there?
Yeah, I got one from Nate. Nate's from Australia. I've been listening to your podcast for a couple months now, and I feel like you guys have become friends. I love what you two are doing, and I have had health challenges over the past year and a half and have been doing a lot of learning and changing. Isn't that interesting?
How so?
It's interesting that whenever you have health problems and you decide to do some research and learn about it, you change as a person. Look how much you've changed.
Oh my gosh, I'm a totally different person.
Even from a year ago.
I know.
Here you are doing Pendulum Under the Moon.
Howling like a wolf at the moon.
Howling at the wolves. I listened to one of your podcasts today where one of your listeners was trying to find the magnesium cream that Gary Gordon mentioned. I did some researching as well as I was interested, and I think this is it, but I'm not 100% sure. electralife.com.au. I haven't tried it yet because there are other things I'm trying still, but I hope to soon. Anyway, God bless you both, Nate.
That's cool.
I'm going to put this in the chat room just in case. So a lot of people wrote in during the Gary Gordon show and wanted to know
about that. Why did we not? He didn't give us the exact cream on purpose?
No, I think he just talked a lot about it.
Okay.
But, it was really, people were really into it because of what he was saying about it, but he just didn't, it wasn't like he was selling it. I think he does sell it, but he didn't, he wasn't selling it on our website. He wasn't telling people to go get it from him.
Okay.
So I think people should just contact Dr. Gordon on his website.
He was cool, right?
Yeah, you weren't on that show, right?
No, but didn't I listen to it? Did I hear that one?
I think you did, yeah.
Yeah, you liked him.
Yeah, Gary Gordon's awesome.
There's hardly any guests we haven't liked.
I know, right?
To be honest, yeah. We have some really cool people on our show.
I'm going to go pee real quick.
Okay.
We have some latest patrons we want to thank, right?
Yes. Okay, I'm going to look up. I'm also going, let's see. Let me pull up this email here. Latest patrons that we want to thank, you guys. Seriously, keeping us going on Patreon is a huge way that helps us out. And we've said it and we'll say it again, but even like 20 cents, we get so excited per show when people pledge as little as 20 cents or whatever they have, because if everyone did that, it just completely adds up, and we're just so grateful. So the latest patrons we want to thank is Shay Linton, who pledged 35 cents a show. That is amazing. Thank you, Shay. Heather Batchelor, 25 cents a show. That's awesome. Christine Fager, 50 cents. We will take it. That makes us so happy. Kimberly pledged $2.50 a show, which is ginormous to us. Amber Kuvdos, $1. Woohoo. And Reiko, $15. Yeah, don't even know what to say to those big ones. The small ones are just as amazing as the big ones, but those are the latest Patreon since we've had our last show. And you guys, seriously, we know we say that your support means the world, but it really, really, really does mean the world. So that's been huge. And then I wanted to share our latest Facebook shares as well. And we get so stoked when you guys share them with your friends. And we just want to give a shout out to these people for doing it. Amita B, Madeline Corrigan Gangmela, Noella Joy, Kathy DeSantis, Shirley Weiss, Ravdeep Kanda, Lisa Bruckman, Lori Hammer, who is an NTP at Walker Chiropractic and Wellness. That's awesome. Katarina Schultz, Daja Marie Korth, Lori Lynn Lewis, Sherry Ann Stevens, Patrick Spicer, Andy Kessler, and Lisa Brees. That is so cool, you guys. When you guys share stuff, it just means the world. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Thank you.
Yeah, it really means a lot to us.
Do you also want me to read the fun featured Amazon orders from May?
Yeah.
This is fun. So we don't know who orders what, but
thank you guys for bookmarking us on Amazon and using the bookmark when you make your purchases. The cool thing is people are buying all kinds of stuff that aren't even health related, which is really cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I usually just put health stuff in this list, but it's cool. I love it.
It's fun. If there's anything really silly, like, I don't know, I'm going to have to mention it. But these ones are healthy. I think most health stuff, but blueberry powder.
I didn't even know you could get that.
I didn't either. The whole fruit, which is 2.2 pounds or 1 kilogram of blueberry powder. Can you imagine?
Can you imagine how good that? Can you imagine how good that would be on if you put that on ice cream or something?
Oh my gosh, on vanilla coconut ice cream. Ooh. Now you're speaking my language.
Sweet sassy molassie. Give me some of that blueberry powder.
Oh man. Then someone bought Never Be Late Again, 7 Cures for the Punctually Challenged. Was that you? Did you buy it at night when I was sleeping? That wasn't you? Well, you might want to look into that.
I waited till you went to sleep till I bought Never Be Late Again. 7 Cures for the
But you were late buying it, so.
Isn't that a funny book?
That is great. I'm all about things. I'm all about books and things like that to help. I'm always trying to read something to better myself and grow as a person.
That's fun.
The Riddle of the Sphinx. Oh, this sounds like you too. Are you sure these aren't the ones that you've ordered lately?
I never heard of it.
The Riddle of the Sphinx, Mysterious World, Treasures of Darkness, Book 1.
Ooh.
Oh, that sounds really good.
That sounds interesting.
And we have somebody that ordered Pure Life Enema Coffee. 1 pound organic ultralight gold air roast, high potency.
Which is interesting because the one that we get for our coffee enemas is from College Health Stores.
Yes.
So... Interesting, huh?
Pure Life Enema.
I'll have to look at
coffee.
this Gold Air Roast. I wonder what that is.
What's ours called again? College?
College Health Stores.
That's so weird. That's a weird name, isn't it?
It's on Amazon.
Okay.
So thanks for buying it through us. But yeah, you can find them on Amazon. I never heard of this Pure Life Enema coffee, though.
No.
But yeah, thanks to you guys for purchasing your purchases through Amazon, through us. extremehealthradio.com/Amazon. It just really helps.
It's huge.
We really, really appreciate that.
All of it's huge.
As well as the patrons. You thanked everyone?
Yes.
How cool. I mean, 25 cents, 30 cents, 50 cents.
I know. $1, $2.50, $15.
Yeah, $15.
Crazy.
That's amazing.
Crazy cool.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for donating to us on Patreon. And what people, I don't think they realize that when you sign up on Patreon, if you're logged into your Facebook account while you're doing it, it'll take you about 1 minute, about 60 seconds to set up a profile and to donate to us on a per show basis. And money doesn't come out of your account right then. It comes out at the first of the month. So you can donate, if you do like $1 per show, and we do 4 shows a month, $4 will come out of your account on the first. And so it's on a per show basis, but you don't get charged every time a show happens.
Right. That's good to clarify for people.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for supporting us.
Woohoo! How many Patreons do we have now in total? Do you know?
Let me take a look here. Let's take a look here.
We're slowly climbing.
Yeah, it really does help because we use your money. Because not only, I don't think people realize too, this is what we do full time.
Right.
So we pay our rent, our mortgage or our rent with this. We pay our bills. We pay the electricity. We pay everything with this money. So
this is it.
Yeah, this is what keeps us going.
Wow.
We have 65 people.
That's great.
Yeah, 65 people.
So stoked.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So stoked.
Yeah, very excited about that. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
And it just allows us to keep doing what we're doing. We have a lot of great plans. You can read about everything we want to do on Patreon on Patreon.com.
Patreon.com.
Yeah. What else?
More business to take care of here?
No more business. I'm just
business.
curious about that. I just really fascinated by this pendulum. You've been really loving it lately.
I have been.
Yeah.
I'll take minutes when I wake up, and then I'll take like an hour before bed and just kind of mess around with it. I like it.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's interesting.
That's really cool. And did you do the...
the lady at the store told me to charge it, by the way.
Yeah, did you charge it? Did you do all the steps?
I attempted to, but I've been playing with it so much, I don't want to be without it for 24 hours. Because she says to put it out in the sun and have it go a full cycle from the sun through the moon. But I've wanted to play with it, so I went out and got it. And I mean, I've charged it a little bit in the sun, but I haven't done a full 24 hour.
You know what you could do is do it. I think there's a blood moon coming.
I think it's right on the 31st, right?
Is it? Yeah. So you could do...
Good call.
You could do it during that time.
Good call.
So it's supposed to sit out in the daytime the whole time?
Yeah, she said leave it outside, run it under water to kind of cleanse it, and then put it out for a 24-hour cycle under the moon and the sun. And I know that sounds crazy to some people, but I'm like, hey, I'm willing to try anything.
Oh.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
So cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I got this sort of thing in the news here I want to read to everyone about rheumatoid arthritis. Curious what people think about this. This magazine article says there's no link between calcium supplements and coronary artery calcification in rheumatoid arthritis patients. An article published in the Arthritis and Rheumatology found that supplementing with higher levels of oral calcium was not associated with an increased risk of coronary atherosclerosis.
Like hardening of the arteries?
Yeah, in rheumatoid arthritis patients. According to a large cohort study of 145 patients with rheumatoid arthritis between the ages of 45 and 84, baseline coronary artery calcification scores less than 100 units, which is a stronger indicator of future cardiovascular events, were 70% less frequent among study participants who took 1,000 milligrams or more per day supplemental calcium than in those who consume less than 1,000 milligrams a day. Approximately 29% of patients were taking at least 1,000 milligrams of supplemental calcium a day, while the remainder were taking less than 1,000 a day. A coronary artery calcification score of less than 100 units was documented in 30% of patients at baseline and 34% of patients at the third visit. Interesting, huh?
Wow.
Yeah, Nikki Moses talked a lot about calcium.
I was going to say, I had to really not be attached and married to my fear of calcium, all the bad things and disparaging things I've heard about taking calcium, because that was something huge in my body that apparently I was lacking. And she muscle tested me for a certain brand, and I seem to, I don't know what it's doing, but I don't seem to be doing poorly on it. But yeah, you always think, oh, calcium, it's, bad. I've heard all this bad stuff about that. But so far, I feel
feeling great.
I'm feeling great. So I'm like, you know what? At this point, I don't know if I'll be wanting to take calcium forever. But if this is just part of regulating me, I believe there's a time and a place for everything, and a reason you meet people, and a reason I was led to her. And I just have to trust the process at this point. So.
Yeah, I think sometimes you may need to, our bodies get so out of balance and so imbalanced on so many levels that you need super high doses of certain nutrients to sort of get you back to baseline.
Don't you think?
So let's say your level's supposed to be 0, but you're at negative 100.
Right.
You might have to take a positive 200 level dose for 2 months or something to get back to that level 0, where you're just at a 0 all the time. Interesting, because we're told in mainstream media that we need to take calcium.
Right.
For everything.
And then you hear in the natural world, calcium will kill you. Calcium's doing the opposite.
It's bad for your arteries and things.
Right.
And then Nikki Moses sort of talked a lot about that. We're working on getting her on the show one day.
Yeah.
But she talked a lot about calcium and how it depends what type of calcium and how you're using it, and understanding what it does in the body. And
along with what other supplements you're doing to kind of
balance out, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So all that to say, it's the same thing when you hear, oh, wine's good, wine's bad, beer's good, beer's bad. It gets down to how we sort of understand our own bodies and are listening to our own bodies for things.
Yes. Yes, I know.
Yeah. Interesting. I also want to let everyone know too, if you guys are interested in writing for Extreme Health Radio, we are accepting people to write for our show and for our website. And so we've launched a new section on our website that will allow you to share your insights and your unique perspectives and opinions about health and spirituality and wellness and personal development, things like that. So if you're a writer and you want to gain more exposure, what we'll do is we will take your unique article, if you've written a unique one specifically for our website, something that's never been published online, we'll take that and we'll publish it and share it with our audience, and we'll put links and a picture to your website and to your social accounts and things like that. So if you want to be a recurring contributor to our website, you can do that now.
What's the best way for people to find it?
If they go to our website, you can see a link at the top that says Write for Us.
Okay.
And you can click on that and learn about the program and what to do and the benefits to you and how it all works.
Okay.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, we've had some interest, haven't we?
Yeah.
It's been great.
And we've also been doing something with Survivor Stories.
Oh, that's right. Survivor Stories.
Yeah, so we're going to be interviewing people on our YouTube channel via video, actual video, through Google Plus, and we're going to be interviewing people that have gone through catastrophic diseases. We've got 2 people that have written stories so far about their mold toxicity and rheumatoid arthritis, I think.
Mold in the brain.
Yeah, mold in the brain.
Ooh.
So we want to talk to these people, and if you're someone who knows of someone that's overcome something, a chronic degenerative disease naturally, not just cancer, but anything.
Any kind of, yep.
And that you have used natural methods and principles and have overcome the disease, then we'd love to talk with you, because I think people need to hear from people that have actually gone through
other
stuff.
people's stories. I completely agree.
Yeah,
that's where I get them. Like, that's where I feel the most connected. Like,
yeah. Because if people have the same thing you have, it's really empowering to listen to someone who's overcome it.
Right, for sure. On the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because even though we talk to experts all day long and we hear, how they treat people and stuff, it's like, I want to talk to these people. What did it feel like to go through that? What were your concerns? What were your triumphs? What worked for you? What didn't? So I don't know. I just feel like it's a little easier to go off that kind of stuff more often. Like, even online with my health stuff, like finding people that are people trying out things, to me, has been more comforting than, finding a naturopath who says, I can help you with this, that, or the other. It's like, that's great. And there's been help in that way for sure. But yeah, there's nothing like a story of a person experiencing the same thing you have.
I know. It's really helpful, isn't it?
Totally.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up, right?
I think so. That was a good way to come back, though.
I know, right? An hour and 38 minutes later.
Yeah. Wow.
Tana, maybe we'll see you soon. I think you mentioned to us before the show that you might be in our neck of the woods, so I'm not sure if that will happen, but if it does, I'm sure we'll see each other sometime.
Yes, take you out for green juice.
Trey and I can talk fighting while you guys talk health, and
as long as he doesn't punch you, I'm good with that.
I'll do my best to block his punches.
Yeah, you're all about shielding. Warriors and shields.
Yeah, warriors and shields.
You're funny.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate you guys being on the show. Don't forget to stay up to date with our newsletter. If you're not subscribed to the show, you can text the word Get Healthy to 33444, and you can join us on the newsletter community. That's the best way to stay up to date with everything we have going on. So thanks everyone for joining us. Really appreciate it. Hopefully we shared some ideas here that inspired you and helped you out in your journey.
And made you feel not so weird or alone.
Yeah, or alone.
We're all in it together, as Mr. Drew Canoli says.
That's right. And if you want to follow us on Instagram too for some of those books that you know what I'll do is I'll put a link here to our Instagram account in the chat room in case people want to follow us on there. We're going to be putting and sharing all the books we read and things like that on our Instagram account. So feel free to follow us on there. And that's about it, right? Have
a wonderful day wherever you guys are in the world, and can't wait to do this again.
Yes.
We'll be back next Friday, right?
We'll be back actually next Friday with Mr. Adam Bergstrom.
Right on.
We want to talk about someone who's not normal.
In the best way possible.
Yeah.
Man, that guy, I love him.
Yeah, he's great, isn't he?
Atom.
So we're going to have him on next Friday. And then after that, the Friday after that, we're going to have Isabella Wentz. We're going to be talking about thyroid issue. Dr. David Jockers after that.
Nice.
So a lot of good people coming up.
Woohoo.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun.
Skating our way right through the summer, aren't we?
That's right.
Let's do it.
So yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. We appreciate it so much, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. The show notes for this episode will be at extremehealthradio.com/387, right?
Yes.
388.
388.
Mm-hmm. Okay, 388. And don't forget to check out our sponsor for this show too, Bellicon Rebounders. We'd greatly appreciate you visiting their website through our link and picking up one of these rebounders, these mini trampolines that we highly suggest everyone get on board with. And if you want more energy, better improve your health, prevent disease, and increase endorphins, all kinds of good stuff, increase bone density. It's an exercise unlike anything else you're doing. So it definitely doesn't replace the gym. I'm a big gym rat. I love working out. I love sports and doing all kinds of stuff. It doesn't replace anything because in my mind, it's just so unique and so different that it must be added into your routines. But it's so different that if I had to do only one exercise, that would probably be the one I would do.
Yeah.
It's
you love it. You're obsessed. I think you have a love affair.
Yeah, it's awesome. So anyway, thanks everyone for checking us out. extremehealthradio.com/Bellicon if you want to check that out.
I don't know what you love more though, your Bellicon or your lava lamp.
My lava lamp.
I love it. You love your lava lamp.
I do. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Check out the show notes at 388, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Hey, everybody. This is Josie, Justin's mum. Don't tell him, but I know he would absolutely be really happy if you would sign up to his free weekly newsletter. And don't forget to share this with all your friends. This is the buzzing bumblebee signing off.
That's so good.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for listening to this episode.
It's time to go for now, but our mission does not end with this show.
Justin and Kate will be back with another interview packed full of ideas, discoveries, and unique ways to regain your health.
Head on over to extremehealthradio.com/subscribe and instantly download our free gift too that contains cutting-edge strategies to start making healthy lifestyle changes today.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even if you educate yourself in the field of live food, nutrition, and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers medical advice of any kind. None of the information offered here should be interpreted as a diagnosis.